Hello and welcome to the Ellen Made Book Club and round 2 of picking my October TBR from the Booktuber Bingo on the TBR Harvest. TBR Harvest is a readathon that is ongoing during the month of October. You can start early and end late and do it however you want. It's very flexible and open, and it's really fun. It's created and hosted by Leandra, the TBR Zero, and there's a Discord server and Google Docs and graphics and lots of fun stuff. And apart from this Booktuber Bingo, there's also a pumpkin patch and a scavenger hunt, which are different kinds of games that you can play to pick out what books to read and get through your TBR. And if you want some more information, I will link part 1 of this series that I'll be doing in October. There you can see what prompts I got that time and how it all works and which books I picked. But I'm not gonna talk too much right now because the second video with the draw of the next 15 numbers just dropped, I think. So I'm going to look through that and the prompts that I have on my bingo cards, which are number 7 and number 8. I will watch those prompts and pick out books for them, and we'll see how it goes. There's been so much excitement on Discord too, and everyone's like, it's Friday, second drop is coming, it's 40 minutes left now. If you think this sounds fun, I would highly recommend to join. Everyone's welcome, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. But let's get into the prompts already.
Hey everyone, welcome to another video for Booktuber Harvest. I have 15 more prompts to present to you, 15 more booktubers who kindly gave me a prompt and gave me a video to go along with it. They're amazing. All right, without further ado, let's get into the 15 prompts. Kicking off the drawings for week 2, we have G51.
G51, let's see if I have that. I do not. Okay, let's move on to the next.
Next number is I-25. That is I-25.
Okay, so this prompt I do have on my number 7 bingo card and not on my number 8. Okay, so let's see what that prompt is. Our first prompt. Okay.
Hello, I'm Ellen.
Okay, that's
from
me.
the Ellen Made Book Club.
And my prompt is to read a mashed potato book. So I'm the kind of person who will always leave the best part of any meal to last, like mashed potatoes. And unfortunately, I'm the same way with books. So for some reason, I keep putting off the books that I'm the most excited to read, which is really annoying. So my prompt is to read that book. For me, that might be The Book of Guilt by Catherine Chidgey, who is from New Zealand, by the way, The Garden by Nick Newman, or The Man Who Lived Underground by Richard Wright. If you're not the same kind of deranged person as I am, you can interpret this prompt to mean any book that you have been meaning to read for a long time but just haven't gotten to yet for whatever reason. I know you have one of those. Happy TBR Harvest and good luck, and thank you so much to Leandra for including me in your Booktuber Bingo. I can't wait to see what all of the other prompts will be.
Ellen has also already done her TBR thanks to Bingo, so check out her channel for that.
Thank you for the shout out, Leandra. And I do already have The Book of Guilt by Catherine Chidgey on my TBR. I am both dreading this book, and it's the one that I am the most excited to read, and I just keep pushing it off. So this one is already on my TBR from last week, so that's good. And the other example I gave was The Garden by Nick Newman, and that's also on my TBR already. And I just started reading The Man Who Lived Underground by Richard Wright yesterday, so this is also on the go. So I think I'm doing pretty well on this prompt.
Let's see what our third number is.
I forget.
G54.
Nope, I don't have this.
If you need any recommendations for Krista's prompt, I'm your girl, by the way. I also love elderly characters, but the next number is O62. That is O62.
I do not have. Okay, so let's skip this one too.
The next number is N40.
Don't have that, so let's do the next one.
Another nostalgic film would be Hocus Pocus. Or anything Scooby-Doo, if I'm being honest. That's my go-to. The next number is N37. That is N37.
Nope.
We have O63. That is O63.
Okay, O63 I have on my number 7 bingo card. Let's see what the prompt for that is.
Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and this is my channel, Cliff's Dark Gems. And thank you so much, Leandra, for inviting me to be part of this Booktuber Bingo and part of the TBR Harvest event for October. And yeah, I'm super excited. And as you can see, my channel is all about horror. So yeah, spooky season just around the corner. My prompt for all of you is to read a book with a creature or monster that is associated with Halloween. Obviously it's a bonus if you've got the Halloween setting, like I don't know, haunted house or something like that. But it has to have a creature, like a vampire, werewolf, ghost, ghoul, witches, anything like that. So yeah, that's my prompt for all of you. And it doesn't have to be super scary, people. That's entirely up to you. There are a lot of great books that are a little bit more gentle, that have the creepy vibe. So I wish you all a very happy, spooky season.
Okay, so what was like a creature? A creature. Okay, so he mentioned witches, which I wouldn't necessarily call a creature. They're usually a human, but I guess we're creatures too, so that's fine. And we're rather creepy. So the first book that comes to mind is Uncharmed by Lucy Wood. That is a new release coming out, or I think it's out already, and I have it on audiobook. That is about a witch. The previous book, Rewitched, was set during the month of October and like leading up to Halloween, and also about a witch. Uncharmed, I'm not sure if it's like in a Halloween setting, and I don't think it's very creepy, so that one would count like just because it's a witch, I think. It's more of a cozy fantasy. The other one that came to mind I also mentioned last week, and that's The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, just because, you know, a unicorn is a creature. I don't think this is very creepy, so yeah, this is more of a gentle kind of creature story. But I don't know if Black Sheep is going to involve some kind of creature, but I don't think so. I don't know. I don't have a lot of creatures, so I'm like grasping for straws here. Again, A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher could definitely be a good option. I'm not sure how much like creatures there is in this. I know there's a black vulture perched on the mailbox, and I think that would be a creepy creature. And the house also seems to be like a creature of its own, so that's definitely an option and very season appropriate. Ooh. Or I should pick Lanny by Max Porter, because this one definitely has a creature and I don't really know what it is. Some kind of a forest monster. Dead Papa Toothwort is the name of this creature. Yeah, I guess that's a creature. Maybe I should pick this one so that I can finally get this read. I tried the first chapter of this, I think last like December. So maybe it's time I finally finish this one. Okay, yes, I'm gonna pick Lanny by Max Porter for this prompt. It's time, it's time. Okay, next prompt.
And like Cliff said, it can be any type of genre. It doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be horror. Next number is G46. That is G46.
G46. I keep forgetting I have to look at my bingo cards. I do have that on my number 8 bingo card, not on number 7. Okay, let's see what this prompt is.
Hello everyone, my name is Brittany. My channel is Rescues and Reads. Thank you so much to Leandra for inviting me to participate in Booktuber Bingo. Something to know about me is that I am a huge fan of having new experiences and challenging myself, and this is also true within my reading. Throughout this year, I have been participating in a lot of projects and reading challenges that have really pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and in doing so, I have found some new favorites and have had some great experiences I wouldn't have otherwise had without these projects. So my prompt to you for Booktuber Bingo is a challenge of sorts, and that I'm going to challenge you to read a book that is outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it is a book that you have heard amazing things about and you're curious about it, but you're afraid to pick it up because it's not something that you would normally read. Well, I encourage you to do so because you could very well find a new favorite or have an amazing reading experience. Thank you again, Leandra, for inviting me to participate, and I hope that if y'all do read outside of your comfort zone, you end up finding a new favorite. Bye.
Okay, perfect. I mean, anything spooky is already out of my comfort zone because I'm scared of everything. So anything horror or like, yeah, creepy is going to be outside of my comfort zone. I'm gonna check. I had to take a little break because there are so many like yard work machines going outside, so I couldn't concentrate. But I think that I have narrowed down my options to either House of Beth by Carrie Cullen on audio, which it doesn't say on the description that it's a horror novel, but it's about this woman who, I think she meets a man and then like his ex-wife's ghost is sort of haunting their life, their relationship, and she's like stepping into that life, and it's weird. She's also struggling with OCD, and so that's an aspect that I find really interesting and I would like to read about. That would be a challenge because it's a horror novel and like a haunting and stuff, because that's creepy to me. But it doesn't say that it's a horror novel on there, so I'm not really sure. It just says novel. The other option that I think will be a challenge and out of my comfort zone is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. And this is a very short one. I could definitely use a short read on this TBR. And also I figured if I already have We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad and possibly Uncharmed by Lucy Wood. Did I choose that? I don't think I did. I haven't been recording things very good. Leanne, okay. I'm very distracted today. Okay, so do I only have one audiobook then? I don't know. I think I'm going to pick A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck just because I'm very curious about this one. It says it's a haunting existential novella, so it's like got a bit of a creepy aspect to it and also like philosophical. As a faithful Mormon, Soren has always believed he'll be reunited with his loved ones in an eternal hereafter, and then he dies. Soren wakes up to find himself cast by a god he has never heard of into a hell whose dimensions he can barely grasp, a vast library he can only escape from by finding the book that contains the story of his life. I think that sounds very interesting, and I'm very curious about this one, so I'm gonna add this one to the TBR for the, what was it? G46, a book out of your comfort zone.
All right, let's see what our next number is. 069.
069. I do have on my number 7 bingo card. Number 7 is turning out to be a card that's getting lots of hits. Okay, so I'm not very good at like doing this now. G46 was what? Out of comfort zone. Short Stay in Hell. I mean, just the title, A Short Stay in Hell, sounds out of comfort, so I'm gonna go with that. And what was this? 069 on bingo card number 7. So let's see what this prompt is.
Hey guys, it's Monica from A Little Bit of Monica. I am super excited to be participating in TBR Harvest this year, and I have been trying so hard to come up with the perfect prompt, but as I read a lot of romance, fantasy, horror, and even some thrillers, the books I read are of a wide variety, and I'm notoriously bad at making decisions, so I decided to build on that. So my prompt is going to be for your next book to be chosen using something related to luck or fate or chance or another person altogether. This can manifest itself in many different ways, so feel free to be creative, but this could look anything like a poll pick where other people vote for your book. You could let your pets decide. You could simply roll a die, spin a wheel, or I plan to be using my TBR Plinko board and I can let gravity decide for me. I just have to narrow it down to a few options, but the final decision rests on fate itself. So with that said, good luck and happy reading.
That's so fun. Okay. I am thinking I might want to use my TBR jar because I've been missing doing that this month, even though this is a lot of fun as well. I also would like to use the poll pick on Discord, so like I could combine them and it would be like super random. Let's do that. Let's pick a TBR game from my TBR jar of games. Okay. Why not, you know? Okay, this one. Oh my goodness. What does this one say? I think it's too bright. Random phrase generator generates a phrase. Pick 1 to 3 books to match and choose one to read. Okay, so I'm going to pick 3 books to generate. No, I'm going to pick 3 books based on whatever phrase we get from a random phrase generator. This is going to be very random. Okay, so random phrase generator. Jack of all trades, master of none. Having suitable skill in multiple things, but not being an expert in any of them. There's a lot of things in this phrase. There's the Jack of it all, which could mean like a knight or like a prince or something, or a character named Jack or an author named Jack. And then we have trades, so like any kind of like profession or, you know, stuff like that. Master is also something that I could use to pick books. And then I also feel like all and none is referring to like a sort of measurement and like nothing, everything, someone, words like that. I could also use it for some kind of a genre blend maybe, like it's not, you know, full-on horror, for example, but it's like a little bit of horror and a little bit of something else. I think I'm gonna pick A House with Good Bones just because, you know, there's a new master in the house and like A House with Good Bones is a phrase in and of itself, and so I'm gonna pick this one as one option. 2 more. I do feel like, well, I do want to read Rouge, and I think this is about like the beauty industry, and so that would be like a trade, but I already have a Mona Awada book on my TBR, so let's not do that. A Jack of all trades. I feel like we have to do Alice in Wonderland, just because, you know, the queen, you know, and all of the cards, right? Because there are cards. Isn't the Queen of Hearts in Alice of Wonderland? Yes, so like a Jack is a card. Alice in Wonderland is our other pick. Okay. Jack of all trades, master of none. So if we have Jack and master, let's say, and let's do something with all or none. So something about like this one. Everything We Never Said by Sloane Harlow. This is a young adult thriller, I think, about a girl who falls in love with her dead best friend's boyfriend, and then starts finding out some stuff. Yeah, I think let's go with this one. And this, like, everything is related to the word all and none, like everything and never. Okay, so the poll is going to be for Everything We Never Said by Sloane Harlow, A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher, and Alice in Wonderland. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna insert in editing what book got picked. Okay, that took a long time. Okay, let's see what the next prompt is.
After this ball is drawn, we only have 5 more numbers to pull this week. And this one is I-23.
Okay, I-23 I have on my number 7 card. So now we have another row with 3 in a row. 23. Okay, let's see what the prompt is.
Hi Leandra, hi everyone. I'm Katie from the channel Books and Things, and I read lots of different stuff, but my favourite things tend to be classics and historical fiction. And in October, I'm also hosting a readathon, Victober or Victorian October, which is all about reading Victorian literature. And therefore, my prompt for you this TBR Harvest is also Victorian literature themed, very simply just to read a work of Victorian literature. Victorian literature is usually defined as British and Irish literature published during the reign of Queen Victoria, so 1837 to 1901, and I love Victorian literature a lot. There are a bunch of challenges for Victober, but the only thing you actually have to do to take part in Victober is read a work of Victorian literature in October, and so that is the challenge I thought I would add here for TBR Harvest 2.
Okay, that's definitely out of my comfort zone. When was Alice in Wonderland published? 1865, but like where? I have to do some research. Perfect. Okay. If this gets picked in the poll pick, I can double up on that and this prompt, or I can just use it for this prompt. So I'm choosing Alice in Wonderland for this prompt. Okay. Okay, let's see what the next prompt is.
Next number is 071.
I do have that on my number 8 bingo card, and now we have 3 in a row on there as well.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Lotta from Lotta Snook, and since I love spicy books so much, I want you to read while eating something spicy. Good luck.
Okay. hilarious. Okay, read something while eating something spicy. Okay, I like spicy food, so that should work out. Yeah, okay, let's see what the next number is.
Next number is G53.
I have that as well on my number 8 bingo card.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie. My channel is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and I read fantasy predominantly. Fantasy truly is my jam, and I love it to bits. But like any genre, fantasy is quite vast and has so many different subcategories and more books than I could read in a lifetime. Therefore, we have to narrow it down a little bit. So my prompt to you today is to pick a book with your favorite trope or buzzword. So if I was choosing something like this, I would probably choose something like God Killer by Hannah Kaner, because one of my favorite buzzwords is specific magics and specific gods. This book has so many specific gods of specific trees, specific towns, specific places. It is very specific, and I absolutely love that about this book. Thank you so much to Leandra for including me in this, and I hope everyone enjoys their reads. Happy TBR Harvest.
Okay, so does it have to be fantasy or just a buzzword that I like? I don't think it has to be fantasy, right? I mean, it depends on the genre, I guess. But I usually go for something with psychology or like religious aspects. Something dark, like smart. I want books to feel smart. I don't know. Buzzword. I think I'm gonna pick Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. That is the second book in the Naturals series. I read the first book in August, and it was just so fast-paced, and that is definitely a buzzword that catches my interest at the moment, because yeah, I've been reading a lot of like dense books, and I want something that feels fun but also a bit spooky and creepy, and I have that coming in from the library. And also, like, they have all of these like natural abilities to read people, and so that's also psychology and like cognition, and that's also a buzzword for me, like anything to do with the brain and like how we perceive things, and it's all very clever. Yeah, that's the book that I'm gonna pick for this prompt. It even makes me talk faster. Okay, let's see what the next number is.
We still haven't gotten a bingo for any of the bingo cards yet. 066.
I have that too on bingo card number 8. 066. Let's see what the prompt is.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Gabby, and my channel is called Gabby Likes to Read. I primarily love reading anything historical, and so I have 2 prompts that I wanted to propose to you. One is to read a historical mystery, and the other is to read a audiobook or listen to an audiobook while you are doing a puzzle. I recently did that and it was amazing, so I definitely want to encourage you to do the same. Thank you so much, Leandra, the TBR Zero, for inviting me to be one of the booktubers featured on your TBR Harvest readathon. Happy reading, everybody, and happy TBR Harvest.
Okay, so do I have to do both, or can I choose? Like maybe one is for a book and the other is activity, right? Oh, I think I could do The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. That's a historical mystery, and that has been on my want to read list since like January when it came out. I also have The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. This I would consider a historical mystery, kind of. It's set in 1972, so it's like just making it into like 50 years ago. I did try this and I had a bit of a hard time getting into it because it wasn't very like fast-paced. It's kind of going on like side tracks. I think this is a bit too much for me to take on in October as well. Any of these historical mysteries? Do I have anything here? Maybe I should just try the puzzle one. I might have a puzzle, but a historical mystery sounds fun. I want to read a historical mystery. But like realistically, oh wait, this got us to 4 in a row. So that's a very good option for a bingo. And then that would mean what? That I would have to read a historical mystery or listen while I puzzle and then Read the Garden, read while eating something spicy, something nostalgic for 072. I also think I'm updating my 072 read to an audiobook that I'm listening to right now, which is No Friend to This House by Natalie Haynes. And this is a prompt that I had last week that I didn't really have anything for, but that was to read something that gives you nostalgia vibes. There was also like mentions of retellings, and this is a retelling of Greek mythology, and that gives me nostalgia vibes. And it would be really easy to just finish the book that I'm halfway through, read The Garden, and then do some activities. That's an option. What am I doing? Historical mystery or a puzzle. I'm gonna have to think about the historical puzzle. No, not a historical puzzle. Hang on. The Stolen Queen is one of the options that I have for a historical mystery, or I could always listen to an audiobook and do a puzzle. So yeah, that was good to have those two options, I think. I'm gonna leave it there for now, and let's see what the next number is.
I love the this or that situation that Gabby gave us, but also feel free to combine all of it into one prompt. Up to you. But the next number is B14. That is B14.
I have that too. On my number 8 bingo card.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer from the channel Jennifer Loves Books. I really enjoy reading mystery novels, in particular Golden Age murder mysteries from the first half of the 20th century. So my prompt is very simple. It's to read a book that was first published before you were born. Happy reading.
A book that was first published before I was born. Alice in Wonderland would count for this. And I also am realizing that I've completely neglected all of this, which is also on my TBR. So just give me a second, okay? I have lots of options. One of them is The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera, which was published in 1984, which was before I was born. I also have Sula by Toni Morrison, which was published in 1973. And I also have The Brothers Lionheart by Astrid Lindgren, which is a Swedish children's book. And this was published in 1973 as well, I think. Yes, but I think since I already have Alice in Wonderland, I'm just gonna double up on this prompt and pick this one for everything that sounds remotely old. You know, we're not trying to overwhelm ourselves here. So for that, I'm going to, what was it? Yes, Before Alice in Wonderland. Okay, let's see what the next number is.
Obviously, the prompt depends on when you were born, but there are a lot of options for everybody. And the next number, the final number of this week, is B12.
Okay, so I don't have B12, and that means those are all of the prompts for this round. Okay, I feel like I got so many. I have 9 new prompts to take into consideration. I have relocated to my computer because I cannot think with just the notes. I need to see things visually. So here are all of the books that I have picked out for the prompts that have hit my bingo cards. Okay, so bingo opportunities and books that I should prioritize. We have one right here, so that's going to be an activity with a bestie, which I've already done. So this one's done, and then the Book of Guilt I definitely want to read, and Heartstopper also feels manageable. We also have this row right here where we have Alice in Wonderland, the Book of Guilt, and No Friend to This House, which I am halfway through already. And then we have the bottom row here with, again, the Book of Guilt or The Man Who Lived Underground, which I'm halfway through, an activity with a bestie, and then Lanny by Max Porter. I guess we also have the O column with No Friend to This House, whatever book ends up being picked in the poll, and then Lanny. But so far I've only started No Friend to This House, and the other ones are like, I could read them, I could not. We'll see. For my bingo card number 8, we have the O column as my best bet for a bingo so far. For that, I would have to read No Friend to This House, which I am in the middle of, and The Garden. And then I have 2 activities on this column, so that would be a good pick, I think. So the books that are definitely on my October TBR so far are Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, Volume 4, The Book of Guilt by Catherine Chidgey, The Man Who Lived Underground by Richard Wright, which I am halfway through, No Friend to This House by Natalie Haynes, which I'm also halfway through. The Garden by Nick Newman, and Fight Club, which I have already finished. Then I also need to listen to an audiobook while I do a puzzle and read a book while eating something spicy. I am still in pretty good shape and I have 2 good options to get a bingo. I definitely also want to read We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad, so I'm gonna give that a little green thing as well, but I don't like need it for a bingo, so it's not gonna go on here. Oh well, I guess it could go on here. Okay, I'm gonna put that up there. Okay, now I'm done. So that's where we're at for the October TBR so far. I hope you've enjoyed this video. There will be another one next week if I can keep up. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.